Good afternoon, everyone. We're so glad that you were able to join us this afternoon for our webinar on how to get noticed for that next promotion. We had a lot of interest in this webinar, so I'm really excited about our guest speaker, Portia Parker. She's amazing, and I'll give her intro in just a moment. Just a few quick housekeeping items that I always like to cover. First of all, if you can hear me, if you'll just raise your hand on your control panel for GoToWebinar, you'll see a little palm. So if you could just click on that to let me know that you can hear me okay, that would be great. Okay, all right, most people are raising their hands, awesome. In addition to the raise hand function, Portia has a few poll questions for you guys as well. So when it comes to that section, you'll see that pulled up. So if you'll just participate, that would be great. I always want to make sure folks know that this is being recorded. So if a slide goes too quickly, or if you're not able to write something down, know that you can refer back to the recording, and you all will receive an email of that at 5 p.m. this afternoon. Also, any questions that you have, I'll be moderating questions at the very end of the webinar, so you're welcome to shoot those in the chat box, and then we will address those later in the webinar. And lastly, just want to welcome you again to the UGA Alumni Career Services office and the webinars that we offer for our alumni on various topics. Also at the Career Center office or the Alumni Career Office, we do appointments. We have Handshake, which is our online job board. We have a listserv where we send out a bi-weekly newsletter called Jobs for Dogs. You're welcome to shoot me an email, and I'll put that in the chat box so you all know my email address. You're welcome to email me anytime. My name's Bethany Mills. I do all of the alumni career services here at UGA. So without further ado, I'm going to quickly introduce our guest speaker and hand it over to her. So Portia Parker is founder of Fly High Coaching and the Millennial Performance Institute, and is a certified professional coach through the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching and an Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner. Portia is a member of the millennial generation with a BS in psychology from the University of Georgia. So happy to have a fellow alum join us today and sharing her expertise. So I'll turn it over to you, Portia.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Bethany. I'm also really excited to share this information about how you can stand out from others in the workplace and demonstrate your value to get promoted. I know that your time is precious, and I really appreciate you making it a priority to be with us this afternoon. So I like starting off with quotes. Self-awareness is our capacity to stand apart from ourselves and examine our thinking, our motives, our history, our scripts, our actions, and our habits and tendencies. And that is by Stephen Covey, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. He is the very famous author and speaker with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People series. And what I really like about this quote is that it really encompasses a lot about self-awareness. Understanding ourselves and how we come across is imperative when thinking about why we are selected for a promotion or not. So I really want you to keep this idea of self-awareness in the back of your mind as we go throughout this webinar today. So you are in the right place if you want to understand what it takes to get promoted and how to create your own career opportunities. If you want to learn the 3 pitfalls of professionals that keep them stuck in their job. And also if you want to discover 5 ways to position yourself for a promotion. So I am giving you a lot today. I'm giving you some of the exact strategies that I work with clients on. So I encourage you to take notes if you are a note taker. And also at the end, I will provide more details about how you can put all of this together and get noticed for that next promotion. So let's jump right in now. Who we are. Bethany gave me a great intro just to provide a few more details for you. I am a UGA alum. My BS is in psychology. So I really enjoy being on the line with fellow alumni today. This picture right here, it's kind of far away, but this is a shot of me delivering a keynote speech last year. And my background is in consulting, where I helped companies to capitalize on millions of dollars hiding within their organization. But for the last, I'd say 4.5 years or so, going on 5 now this year, I've been focused on helping professionals to find their ideal career, generate an awesome income, and create a life that they love. And that's through career and business coaching. You know, part of this includes empowering people to add $10,000 on average to their salaries, and promotions are one way that we help our clients do that. Some of our other specialties include, you can see here, career coaching, job search strategy, resume and LinkedIn writing, interviewing, and also entrepreneurship. So now I want to know a little bit more about you, which takes us to the first poll question that Bethany can help us out with. But the question is, how would you describe your current career stage? Would you say A, entry level, B, mid-career, C is management director, or D, executive level? I just want an idea of where you guys are on the line with us today.
And I'll give just a few more seconds to folks to vote in your current status. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and I'll share that with you guys. So 7% on the call are entry level, 60% are mid-career, 33% are management and director, and 0% are the executive level.
Okay, that's good. That gives us an idea. So we can cater this a bit more to the mid-career professionals and then management and director level. So understanding where you are in your career is really important, because this affects your opportunities to get promoted. The higher your career level, so to speak, the fewer opportunities become available. So, for example, in the U.S., on average, there's only 1 manager per 10 employees. So we know that, you know, to go up to the director level, again, that ratio is going to become even smaller. So it is competitive when it comes to getting promoted and also getting raises and things like that. So before we learn more about positioning yourself for a promotion, we have to ask the question, are you in the right place? Okay. Some companies are better about promoting employees than other companies. So companies that focus on career development, they do these things. They discuss career paths early, in the beginning with newly hired employees. They also mention ways to grow during performance reviews, and they promote internally for new opportunities. So if you agree with these statements in regards to the company that you currently work for, that's a really good sign. It's a good sign that if you put in the time and the work necessary, that you might be promoted. Now, there are some other clues that your organization might have new positions becoming available, okay? Some of the things are, you know, when companies experience major revenue growth. So we're at the beginning of a new year. If your company, you know, sends out a newsletter, or you guys have a beginning of the year meeting, You guys talked about 2017, heard that, hey, there was a lot of growth, a lot of new things that you guys have planned for 2018. That's an example. Also, if your company's going to be offering new products or services, if you hear that your company is going to acquire another company, or if there is, some mentions that they're going to start special committees, task forces, think tanks. When you hear about any of these events, your internal radar should be going off loudly. And that's because there's a high probability that new roles will be available. So I have a quick story that ties some of this together. So we'll say that there is a project manager who we're going to call Sarah. Okay, Sarah's a company acquired another firm and within the year promoted her colleague Jonathan to a senior project manager role. Jonathan also had supervisory authority over Sarah. And Sarah was surprised that, one, the role was even created, and that Jonathan was selected for the role, because she was never informed about the position or given the chance to apply for it. When she thought about, where she stood in the company, when it came to internal performance metrics, her numbers and Jonathan's numbers were about the same. And Sarah's metrics even exceeded Jonathan's in certain areas. So Sarah was really confused, to say the least. And so she did some digging, and Sarah found out that management viewed Jonathan as a good leader. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot more to that story, and I didn't personally work at that company, but I want you to just think about a time in your own career when someone was promoted. Okay. What do you think was the reasoning behind that promotion? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think here, because promotions are complex and there are a lot of things at play. What is the reason why that person that you knew got promoted? So to take that one step further, we're going to move to our second poll question. So now we're going to think about you. What do you think has stopped you from getting promoted in the past? Is it A, I don't know what it takes to get promoted? B, I haven't been able to show my leadership skills? C, I don't have enough influence or visibility at the company? Or D, not knowing how to handle corporate politics?
Give y'all just a few more seconds to complete the poll. Okay, I'm going to close that and again share. Sorry, I'm messing you up, Portia, your PowerPoint. So 13%, I don't know what it takes to get promoted. 20% say they haven't been able to show their leadership skills. 33% for I don't have enough influence or visibility. And another 33% not knowing how to handle corporate politics.
Yeah, so what's interesting there is there was some distribution between all of those answers. And, there are a lot of reasons and a lot of things at play when it comes to specific companies and specific roles and promotions. But these are some of the things that trip up most people. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about some of these today as well. So looking for a promotion, guess what? So are other people. Just some information here. LinkedIn found that 25% of professionals would like to be promoted and stay at their current company instead of leaving. Okay. 24% of employees say that being overlooked for promotion is the reason why they are open to new opportunities. And this one, I see that a lot. When I work with a lot of people who are looking for new jobs, usually being overlooked for promotion is one of the top reasons why people are looking out there. Also, there was a study done by McKinsey that found that corporate America promotes men at a 30% higher rate than women in their early career stages. And by early career, they were talking about pre-management level. And also, it was interesting that women negotiate for promotions and raises as often as men, but face more pushback when they do. So I think it's interesting to kind of get the lay of the land and understand a bit more about the landscape in the workplace when it comes to promotions. And we can think about, you all should think about how kind of each one of these areas applies to you and your current situation. So 3 pitfalls of professionals. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, and this is another good example. I work with a lot of people who are also looking for jobs. And, you know, after we land that dream job, most people are so excited, and they should be, because it's a long process. But then I usually hear back from a good percentage of people, and they tell me something along the lines of, wow, you know, I just realized that getting a job is really the first part of the equation. You know, the second part involves keeping the job and excelling in the role. And there's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to, you know, excelling in the role. Many times people wonder why, you know, they've been overlooked for a promotion or perhaps not given a merit raise on a regular basis, and they can't quite figure it out. Well, there are 3 major pitfalls that can hold you back when it comes to getting promoted. So this stops you before you can even get started. Number 3, it's that you are defined by your initial impression and reputation. And yes, this is specifically when it's not a good one. So there are certain things people do that can cause others to not respect them at a high level. The first, you know, being unprepared for meetings and assignments. In the last, a good example of this, in the last role that I worked for before starting this company was at a consulting firm. There was a particular consultant who was hired, and he asked a ton of questions. And the issue with his questions is that they were covered. His questions were covered in employee manuals, they were covered in operations manuals, they were covered in emails, but he just kept asking questions. And after a while, people really got tired of him. And he, you know, was interested in being promoted, and he was not. And the reasoning for that was he's just not ready. Well, when you hear that, a lot of times they're thinking that you're never going to be ready based on, you know, your initial 90 days and how you conduct yourself. Also, in those 90 days, if you don't produce high quality work, you know, it can be unfortunate, but, you know, people make those first impressions. And if your first few assignments aren't good, it can be 3 years later and you want a promotion and someone remembers, you know, how your work ethic or your work product was at the beginning. Also, if you appear aloof or unfriendly, and this is a big one for my introverts. So I'm an introvert as well. And one thing that I hear a lot with clients that are introverts is they're not necessarily as comfortable or as interested in going to social events after work and, you know, company parties and things like that. So it's easier to kind of stay in your comfort zone and just not go. I've been there, I really have. But the reality is you've got to participate so that people get a chance to know you. So maybe for every 5, you know, events that go on at your company, you go to 2 or 3 of them. But you don't want that initial impression to be that you're unfriendly. Also, talk too much unnecessarily or gossip. When you first start a job, you want to be known for your work and not for what you're talking about. This one trips a lot of people up as well. And then constantly being late. I know that for people who, struggle with this, it's a very, very blatant thing that people can see, an observable characteristic. And so it affects your reputation. Number 2, you are waiting for people to tell you to do things. And so obviously this is beyond, getting directions from your manager and, protocol for your position. But this is more like you are consistently waiting around for instructions. It could look like you're on social media or blogs because you are finished with your work. So you're just taking a texting break. People notice that sort of thing a lot. And you want to have the appearance that you're always working. Another big one is if you don't contribute in meetings or job-related conversations. Okay, so you want to have insightful things to say in meetings. You want to make thoughtful comments. And if you're not doing those things, people can sometimes wonder, are you listening? Are you getting this? I'm not sure. But the real issue with these 3 points right here is that these things position you as a doer in a company, not as a leader, not as that person that others should be following. Okay? And number 1, being negative and or draining. So you only discuss problems without solutions. One of the managers that I work with talks about this a lot. She has bright employees. One person in particular, she thinks is actually brighter than some of the rest of the people on the team. This person comes to her and, as she phrases it, tells me about all of her problems and puts them on my desk. Okay. This person could bring some solutions with those problems. So you want to make sure that when you bring something up, you have a few solutions for how to solve it. Okay. Another thing is going on and on about what's wrong in the workplace and in the world in general. Okay. So this is going to sound, commonplace to some of you, but you really want to keep your thoughts on large-scale social issues to yourself. So politics, the race conversations, sexuality conversations. What trips up a lot of people here is they say, well, everyone in my office and everyone on my team agrees with, the same thing. So we can talk about it because we all agree, or we're all the same. Well, you're having those types of conversations. That's still what people remember about you, not your work. Okay, so you want to get promoted. We want you to progress in your career. You can, table those conversations for your friends, your family, your people outside of work. And then the last one is a big one for my extroverted clients. So they dominate other people's time at meetings or individually. So sometimes this is a habit for extroverts. They say, well, hey, I just want to stop by and talk to everybody, say good morning to everyone in the office, just kind of check in, see how things are going. And if you are staying for extended periods of time, even if you're nice, you're friendly, a lot of people will say, oh gosh, here they come, I don't have time for them today. And you don't want people having that impression of you as you are working. So to really before I transition, I want to say this, if any of those 3 pitfalls that we just talked about apply to you, it's important to recognize that, but also to know that it would be difficult for you to be chosen for a promotion over other people because of those 3 things being at play in the background. Now, you can shift that, but it's best that you work on those areas that I mentioned, and how to set yourself apart, how to change that impression of yourself first. Okay, and then once you're certain that you have a solid reputation at your company, then it's time to kick into these 5 ways to position yourself for a promotion. And so these can really help you take your career to the next level. Number one, you want to consider your last performance review. So performance reviews are stressful times for just about everyone, but they're a good source of information for how you are viewed internally. Okay, you obviously get some insight on what your manager thinks about you. Sometimes, depending on your company, you can get more insight on what their boss thinks about you, about your the results that you've had in your position, how they affect the department, or even sometimes the company as a whole. So there is a wealth of information for you in your last performance review. Some questions to get you thinking here. What type of feedback did you get at the performance review? Was it positive? Was it negative? Really dissect that. Also, have you made changes or addressed any issues that were brought up during your last performance review? If you have not, then once again, it's going to be harder for people to see you as deserving a promotion. And then number three, are you meeting all goals that were discussed? If you're not meeting your goals now, the odds that they're going to give you even more to do are slim. So this is a good point for you to get, very real with yourself and real with that self-awareness, so back to the beginning. We know you probably have an idea of how you're coming across, but this performance review lets you know how close your internal thoughts are with what other people think. Okay? It's very important to understand. Number two, this one, it can be difficult, but it is to release negative energy. So depending on, how long you've been in your role, what you've seen, there could be, tension among you and other people, drama-filled situations. But if you have a goal of getting a promotion, so moving to another level, you've got to let go of that previous tension and that drama. You also have to let go of any emotion around being overlooked for promotions in the past. This one is very difficult. If you decide to stay within the organization, it might be time to regroup. If you were overlooked for a promotion in the past, you're obviously on the right webinar, but you've got to use that information that you have from your performance review and other key areas to really see how you can reposition yourself. The last point here is to focus on a positive future. So you've got to think about solutions. You've got to think about what you can bring tomorrow to the organization and not today, and not necessarily even what you've done in the past. Number three, now we kind of dig into more of the strategy here. So find the gaps. Okay. So this point here might require some time for you. But think about this. What does your team need? Okay. Where are there areas where, there's some ambiguity, there's some complexities that maybe shouldn't be there? How can you help? How can you help with those areas and just other things in general here? How can you go above and beyond with what you're currently doing? These are some thought-provoking questions that are really going to vary a lot based on, your career level, your industry, and your company. Those are some good questions to sit with. Number four, you want to create your own plan to fill the gaps. Okay, so this involves taking initiative, utilizing your strengths. So for example, here, one of my clients did this really, really well. Her team never knew where they stood on, certain metrics or how they could improve in different areas. So she created a report that could be generated on demand for visibility throughout the team. She then was able to help create strategic plans for the team to reach their goals based on the data that she found in those reports. Now, my client is not a data analyst. She's not really a techie person. But guess what? She is a really good problem solver. So this is where you've got to put on your problem-solving cap. And what this does is it really boosts your credibility within the organization. This type of thing could be a really big highlight for you, something that stands out in the minds of management and leadership within your organization. And number 5, you want to lead by example. So what does this mean? This means that you volunteer for assignments and projects, and not just, the glamorous projects and assignments that everyone wants, but people notice who volunteers for the assignments that nobody wants, the quote unquote, the not the good ones. Will you step up to the plate and do those sorts of things as well? That's what a lot of people notice. Also, when you're leading by example, you don't blame others when things don't go as planned. Now, this can be tricky for people because, hey, I don't want to, be the fall guy for, this project that didn't go well. But how you articulate, results or the impact, the final, benefit perhaps of a project, how you do that goes a long way. You can present things in a way to where you're not throwing people under the bus. In particular, people that you work with, people in your department, people within your company. And, to finish off on that, it's staying positive. If, you are taking initiative in leading by example in the areas that you can within your current role, you're going to face some challenges. People are going to come to you with challenges. And if you stay positive, if you are solution focused and helping people in that way, that really highlights your leadership as well. So I've talked a bit here. It brings us to our third poll question. So what area do you need to grow in the most that would increase your odds of getting a promotion? Is it A, delivering better results in my current role? Is it B, your leadership skills? Is it C, your communication skills? Or is it D, your networking and relationship building?
Give you just a few more seconds to complete the poll, you guys. All right, I'll close and share that with you all. So 11% of you said delivering better results in my current role. 32% of you said leadership skills. 21% said communication skills. And 37% said networking and relationship building.
Yeah. Wow. That one also is kind of spread out. And the good thing with this, guys, is that once you work on some of these areas, others follow. So, for example, once you work on networking, relationship building, that kind of goes hand in hand with communication skills. And then leadership can also kind of be impacted by both of those as well. So you can create an approach to how you are going to either, position yourself differently or how you're going to focus, I should say, on reaching your goals within your company. So getting a promotion is really a form of recognition. And usually it's for producing outstanding results or having the ability to produce outstanding results. Sometimes when I talk to people about this, they say, this sounds like a lot to do. And to be honest, it is. However, there is a strategic way to put all of this together. But it does take work, it does take time, and it does take having access to the right resources and being able to use those resources when it is applicable on the job. So as you can probably tell, throughout this presentation, that this really is not a quick fix type of thing. You can't just say, hey, do this one thing and you're going to get a promotion. It's really a more comprehensive kind of approach to your career that you've got to be thinking about to get a promotion. And talking about promotions depends on a lot of factors. So like I mentioned earlier, the stage of your career that you're in, your industry, the specific company that you work for, the precedence that's been set within that company, all of those are really at play. And so what I've done today is I've done my best here to cover promotions in a general way, to give you some insights and things that you can think about right now to have an impact within your company and how you're showing up. But there will be questions, based on your unique goals and your situation. So for those of you who have listened to this presentation and know, now is the time for you to be focused on your career growth, I should say, I have something for you. I've opened up some time on my schedule next week to have 5 Vision of Success sessions. And so during the complimentary session, I will walk you through these points here. So discovering what could be unconsciously sabotaging your success on the job, creating a clear plan that describes in detail the steps you need to take to create the success that you want, and then also learning one simple step that you can take to immediately get into action. So if you know that you want to be one of those 5 people to have the complimentary session, just send us an email. You can see that at the bottom to info@fly-highcoaching.com. You send us that email and we'll get some time scheduled to talk. So being aware, self-awareness is one of the rarest of human commodities. I don't mean self-consciousness where you're limiting and evaluating yourself. I mean being aware of your own patterns. And that is by Tony Robbins. I'm sure some of you are familiar with. He's a coach, consultant, motivational speaker extraordinaire. But what I really like about this quote here is it's really asking you to be aware of how are you showing up at work? What are your patterns? And sometimes it takes an outside person to help us see what those are. But, being aware, there is having that awareness around yourself, I should say, there's a direct correlation with getting promoted and having a bigger impact at your company. And so I wanted to say, thank you all for taking some time to really explore how you can position yourself for that next promotion. So we covered a lot of valuable information that can really help you position yourself at your company. And I think, Bethany, if we have questions around that, we can answer that now. Also, I've listed my phone number for those of you who, might want to contact me directly.
Yeah, that's great, Portia. Thank you so much. This was excellent information. And I'll kind of leave this up for participants right now. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and just type those in the chat box, and we will try to address those. I'll give you a few minutes to kind of think through if you've got any questions.
And then obviously, I forgot to mention, we could talk about questions as well if you're interested in, having a Vision of Success session as well. And I put that email address again at the bottom of the page here.
Yeah, that's great. All right, we had one question come through. Let me see. If you had to make a suggestion for one thing that people should start doing today, like right now in the next 24 hours, what would that be?
Okay. Well, it's obviously going to depend on, a few things, how you think you are perceived at your current company. But what I would do is find out specifically. So anyone who you consider to be a close colleague or ally, I would talk to them, one-on-one, maybe take on a lunch break or coffee break or some other type of break when you guys are away from the office. I would, ask them about how you're perceived at the company. And this is most effectively done with multiple people. So choosing someone who is, quote unquote, at your level, so another colleague. And then if you have close allies who might be in management or in different departments, having some one-on-one time with them as well. Because sometimes what can happen is we think that we're doing great. We think that we're doing all that we can do, but the perception around us at the company is something different. Now, also, this is a test for you. Now, when you have these one-on-one conversations with your colleagues, you've got to remain emotionally neutral. You want them to give you honest information about how you're perceived at the company. So you obviously don't want to say, oh my gosh, that's so wrong, I don't do any of that. You want to contemplate and think and, say, that's interesting. That's interesting. Because to be honest, you can perceive, what you've been doing one way, but if the general consensus is something else, then you need to know that so you can know how to position yourself moving forward.
It's really, really great advice, Portia. Well, we didn't have any other questions come through, which I'm surprised, but I guess that just means you covered really great stuff in your presentation. I know I even took away a lot of things, so thank you again, Portia, so much for sharing your expertise, in your profession. And I also put in the chat box the email address for the success session, and I was also going to let our participants know that they'll be receiving that information as well in that email that will go out this afternoon, as well as the recording. So just again, last little plug for the recording if you missed anything. But anything else from you, Portia?
No, I just want to say thank you again so much. I really enjoy, getting on the line and talking to my fellow Bulldogs. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you again, and thanks everyone so much for participating in today's webinar, and check out some other ones we've got coming up in the next few weeks. We've got some really great topics. So again, thanks again, Portia, and everyone have a great rest of your day.
Okay.